well done, Harry. You could quite possibly have caused yourself more trouble than you would ever have imagined. As we said about the book, and it is the only story in town, so many details, that fight with the Duke of, the then Prince of Wales, and that's extraordinary, the Duke of Cambridge, William, an admission that he took cocaine, a discussion about he and his brother begging Charles not to marry the wicked stepmother. I'm joined now by the BBC's former royal correspondent. Delighted to have her on. Jenny Bond, good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Do you know, Phil Dave, who's producing this morning, said that one of the highlights of his broadcasting career was when you said to him, you're quite posh. Not you, him. So he thought that was great.
Yeah, well, I'm not posh. I'm glad he is.
Well, I don't think he is, really. Jenny, you're far classier than me, but my God, tell me you didn't imagine it was ever going to be like this. Did you?
Well, no, I do think, oh, Harry, did you have to? Did I have to know that you lost your virginity in a field by a woman who treated you like a stallion and then smacked your bottom?
See, bottom, not ass. Bottom, Jenny Bond. That's posh. What's all this ass smacking? No, bottom, you're right.
This is Harry taking control of his own narrative. Some of it, as you suggested, I think is incredibly unwise, the figure of 25 Taliban. And some of it is unnecessary, like the virginity bit. Some of it's very poignant. I mean, you've got to feel for the words he's written about losing his mother and that his father apparently didn't even hug him that morning. So there's some elements I feel sympathy with him, but broadly, I just don't know why he has done it. I do not know, apart from the money.
I mean, you say that, but surely it's that old adage, Jenny, isn't it? Bang for buck. I suspect that those publishers, much like Netflix, wanted, you know, their pound of flesh for the millions that they paid H&M, as I call them now. It's interesting to call them that, isn't it? I'm astonished. Not actually. You know, my old man worked for the royal family. You're a royal correspondent. I'm not astonished that they have arguments or disagreements or that they're normal. But to be so blatant, you know, of course I took cocaine. Of course I lost my virginity behind a pub. Not that we don't imagine that people in the royal family are not normal, but one looks at this man now, and there's two sort of schools of thought. There's the damaged and talked about the red mist and the impact of what happened to him and the fears that created in him. Total sympathy. But then the same thing happened to William. And then you get away from thinking it's about that and you think, well, spare in Spanish, where it got leaked, is in the shadows, and you wonder whether this is all about an underlying jealousy, a years long festation almost of how he really feels about it. But my question, and you sort of just said it, is who the hell said that was a good idea? His wife? Because it isn't.
No, it's not a good idea. Clearly, it's not a good idea. I think this thing about spare obviously goes back to his childhood. But I mean, as we, battle with trying to get to work on trains that aren't running and the NHS and everything else, to hear that he was disgruntled because as the younger son, he got the smaller bedroom in a castle in Scotland at Balmoral. I mean, it's insane, isn't it? And you were talking about being a normal family, but that is normal in a family. You know, I was the third daughter. I got the tiny, tiny room. And when my sisters left home and moved up a bit. I mean, that's what happens. I don't know what Harry wants.
I mean, that's the point, Jenny, and I think you're absolutely right. You know, I think anybody that had sympathy, even if they felt like the institution is dated and deserves some criticism, even if you see beyond that, the feeling is you're the most or one of the most entitled people in the world, and you and your wife, who appear to be so concerned about, you know, the way people are treated, mental health, how they're dealt with, how they feel. The average Joe, the length and breadth of this country, and you make a really great point, Jenny, who this morning are trying to sit in a traffic jam because there's a bloody train strike on, to get to work, to earn work all day, to pay their mortgage just, are going to go, who the hell gives it? This is ridiculous. Tone deaf, I reckon. Absolutely tone deaf.
Yep, I'm afraid they are. And also, Harry says that the ball is in their court, meaning the family over here. And I really don't think it is. Yesterday I was saying on air that I felt that if Harry really wanted reconciliation, well then get on a plane, Harry, come over, find your dad, bang on the door and give him a great big hug and say, oh gosh, what a mess, I'm sorry. But clearly from him saying the ball is in their court, he feels it should be quite the opposite. He really thinks they should get on a plane and go and ask him for an apology. An apology, I don't know what for really, except that he was born second, and that is something.
I mean, there you go. Couldn't have put it better myself. Now, you spent years trolling and knowing everything about the royal family and were very close to it. A couple of questions I haven't asked so far today. What do you think the amazing late Queen Elizabeth would have made of this? Seriously, Jenny?
Well, I just think many people are pleased she's not here to witness it. I mean, we've been told, and I believe it to be true, that she was obviously very distressed. She loved Harry. She was very close to him. She loved his sense of humour, his impishness, and she was very distressed already by what had happened. And to think that this book it was at the publishers at the time of her illness and death. I mean, he'd intended to have this out even whether she was alive or not. So I'm just quite glad she's not here to witness it.
I think that's right. Revelations to come. I mean, somebody said to me earlier, this isn't going to go away. You're right. If he's that pig-headed, he believes that the royal family are going to apologise. They're not. And they will. Dickie was saying to us earlier, Dickie Arbiter, they will maintain a silence. And I actually believe that by maintaining their silence, opinion will harden even further against H&M. And even William, who's been accused of pushing his brother over, really, whatever. I think people will come out of it and will support the royal family. There was a sort of rise, wasn't there, after the late Queen's funeral about the royal family, and they've obviously struck at what they think is a good time. Do you expect any more revelations?
Well, I mean, there's rumours that Meghan's going to write a memoir as well, but I don't know if that's true or not. I think the only response we might get, I think they're quite right to take the high ground, the dignified ground of keeping silent and not in journalistic terms giving the story any more legs. I think the only thing that could happen is that William was out on a job and people like me shouted a question like, did you assault your brother? Did you tell him to wear a Nazi uniform? He could be riled into a response. He
responded, didn't he, about when the racist claims were made by Meghan. He was on some, I don't know where he was, and somebody said, and he said, this is not a racist family. It would strike, I think, a lot of people if you read between the lines of all these sensationalist headlines that William, I mean, I don't know whether he's got a temper. It's not my business to know he's got a temper. But he absolutely called it, didn't he? He apparently said to Harry, look, this is a bit quick. I'm not quite sure about this woman. And, of course, Harry, heavily in love, governed by not his brain, told him to do one. And that was the way it was. But I suspect that Prince William, thinks, you know, she's everything that I feared she might be. What about from what you saw over the years? What would Diana have made of these two being at loggerheads? Because her boys were her everything.
They were, and she'd be incredibly upset. I'm not sure it would have reached this stage, though, because I think she honestly just would have gone and knocked their heads together and said, sort it out. Charles doesn't like to intervene, a bit like his mother in that, and his grandmother, actually, head in the sand, really, and it'll, and go away. So, yeah, I think she would have tried to sort it out before it reached this level.
In terms of going forward, they're waiting for reconciliation. We don't think that's going to happen. Do you think they'll come to the coronation, Jenny?
Well, he wasn't willing to say yes. I think what he was saying is they need to apologise to me first. Wow. And if I'm satisfied with that apology, I might deign to come.
So he manages to make it all about him already, the coronation, despite the fact that security-wise he's put a target on his back. The one big...
Oh, the other thing, I mean, he says there's two sides to every story. But we've only ever heard his side, haven't we? He's just his side again and again and again. There aren't two sides.
He strikes me as an absolutely brilliant example, Jenny Bond, of the younger generation, the woke generation, who say, this is our truth, and you say, but I don't agree with you. That's because you're old and you should be put out to pasture and everything you believe in is misogynistic or racist or whatever it is. He doesn't seem to listen to anybody else. It seems to be entirely, as you quite rightly say, their truth. Final question, Jenny, and I really appreciate you being on. Lots of talk as well about, will there come a point, will there be a red line for King Charles at which point he thinks enough is enough? I'm going to strip them of their titles. Can you see that happening, yes or no?
No, I think the red line would have been an outright attack on Camilla. They've said things about Camilla. They didn't want Camilla to marry their father, but they said they would welcome her into the family. So I think she has come off reasonably lightly in the book. So I think that was the red line.
Very interesting. Jenny Bond, thank you so much. And could you just say that again, bottom, because you said it you said it rather beautifully. She smacked him on the arse. That's brilliant. Jenny Bond said arse. That's the highlight of my broadcasting career. Jenny Bond said arse on talkTV. She's now looking at the ceiling thinking, Kyle's dragged me down to the very bottom of limits.